Hello everybody and welcome to the Zelda Speedruns, broadcasting the Skyward Sword Randomizer 2021 Winter Tournament. We got the finals for you today. It's Game 2 of Gymnast86 versus Lepelog. Commentating for us we have Kikai and 64-bit Link, and tracking is Rondaron and Pac-Man Power Ghost. Say hello everybody.
Hey, what's up?
Yo. So, this could be it. This is game 2 of the best of 3 series between Gymnast and Lepelog. And Gymnast is currently 1 up on the series. So if Gymnast takes this win, then he takes the series. If Lepelog takes it, then it will be going to a game 3.
Yeah, and both of these are incredible runners. Like Gymnast86 is he holds multiple world records in the vanilla category, and Lepelog is the developer of the randomizer. So, I wouldn't write off a win for either of these runners. I think that they can both win this basically.
Yeah, I think Jim has the execution advantage, but Lepelog is no slouch either. And so I think we've seen throughout this tournament, oftentimes early on in races, it can look like Jim is at a disadvantage, that he might have. It looks like he routed poorly and he didn't necessarily find a lot, but then an hour later, it can completely flip, and that's in part because Jim just has an insane level of execution.
Yeah, Gymnast also likes to do a lot of surface areas first, which can often make him look behind initially, but then he just catches up miraculously, seemingly. So both the runners are off, and yeah, this is going to be a fun match, I think.
Yeah. So right off the bat, we're going to see the first item from Fledge.
Harpies.
Yeah,
okay,
nothing
and by the way,
to
yeah. This seed is rolled by Harmjan, so what are the dungeons? Temple mining facility. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. Although those are speedrunners' least favorite dungeons.
Yeah. Earth Temple is just a lot of, at least mandatory back in time. Well, not a lot, but it does have some. And LMF is just a long dungeon in itself, so yeah. Yeah. Earth Temple is good in Rando, but that's, for the vanilla game, it's arguably the most hated dungeon.
Yeah.
So it looks like these runners will be doing some Skyloft routes. Early on, there's only really one decision you can make, and that's Statue Gang or Bizarre Gang. I believe Gymnast is a firm believer in Statue Gang. I think Lepelog is Bizarre Gang, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lepelog's got that EU internet, so which means a decreased frame rate because he got that EU aim. Yeah, it looks like the Farron pillar is the first one, which is interesting because it's a mandatory pillar anyway, because you have to go to Farron to beat Demise and win the game. And so that's, I think, what we should basically focus. Oh, Battle of the Goddess early in Sphere Zero. Okay, so that might make runners go for Levias, although both of these runners are very kind of strict in last locationing Levias, so that might not make a difference for these runners. But as for completing the game, also 5 Guided Pistols, nice. That's for Bujo. So yeah, for completing the game, you need Master Sword, which is 3 upgrades, and Harp. Those are required every single time. And you also need to beat all required dungeons along with their requirements. So the Nero Mining Facility will have 2 beetle upgrades, bombs, Gust Bellows probably, and I think Earth Temple is Ruby Tablet and bombs logically, but we can skip that as we'll see later on. And also Gymnast getting digging mitts from the statue, so that's cool. That's going to be useful for Elden.
Yeah, but I mean, it's likely we're going to see bombs, fairly early, because, bombs are going to be hard required to get into LMF. because
Oh,
you
yeah,
need to raise
yeah.
the nodes, and 2 of the 3 nodes hard require bombs to reveal the time shift stone inside the nodes.
Hmm.
So Gymnast, with having some early rupees, so decides to just buy a wooden shield right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess anticipating maybe using it for Moldarok, because that's like...
Yeah. Well, just in general, I think getting a shield is faster, right? It's just, yeah, it speeds up a lot of fights, especially like in the end game. And I think in Sandship, also Skirbo, although Sandship we will not see either runners going there because it's not required dungeon.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point, because our runners are likely not to find True Master Sword, so having a shield for Girahim 3 significantly speeds up the fight, because there is a strat you can use with the shield to one cycle the second phase.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and the shield in desert is so nice. You don't really have to worry about the Ampulus nearly as much. Like if you're on 2 health and you're in desert, it's like you really score avoid them. But when you have a shield, it's just you don't really need to worry about them too much.
Yeah. Yeah, so like thus far we've gotten Ballad, we've gotten some Gratitude Crystals and Digging Mitts. The Digging Mitts doesn't really unlock much for us right now, so it's either the Betrow or it could be one of the 2 chests that are open right now on the Thunderhead. There's one on an island off to the east, and then there's one in the Isle of Songs, because we start with Goddess Sword, and that one corresponds to Ferori's Courage.
Yeah, so I'd imagine Gymnast would be heading off of Skyloft. Like, this is, again, one of the bigger decisions in the early game is, do you stay on Skyloft or do you leave early? And normally this comes down to preference. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. And I believe Gymnast is definitely someone who really likes to leave Skyloft early. Like, as fast as, like, in, like, the first 5 minutes, he's already off, basically. And we can see other runners who stay on there for, like, 15, 20, or even longer.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the seed, too, as far as, like, what you can even do. And, like, the thing with the Farron Pillar is right now, without any kind of projectile, there's only 2 checks open in Farron. I guess there's a third you can sequence break, but evidently Jim found something on the chandelier that he wanted. Or that he thought he wanted, and it turned out to be a rupee medal, which is only going to be an inconvenience for him because because now, like, things like the Urla grass are going to spawn lots of rupees that he's going to want to dodge in order to not get the text box.
Yeah, at least in these settings, or just in general in races, I can't imagine a situation where they are useful, but medals are really just an inconvenience. Well, the heart medal is useful, but that's about it.
Yeah. So yeah, Jim is heading right away into the Farron Pillar, so
yeah,
it's possible that this will wind up paying off depending on what got placed here. And I guess the other thing is you already are suspecting you're going to have to make at least 2 trips to Farron anyways, because you are probably going to want to go back for Owling Crystals later. So making an early dip to Farron in that sense isn't too bad, but you would ideally like to be able to do a little more than just the minimum checks here.
Yeah. Well, I know Gymnast really likes to go for a lot of like Sphere Zero surface areas. Like I think game 1 of the finals, there was an option between Eldin and Lineru, and he went Lineru even though there's significantly less checks, but it was still Sphere Zero. And it's like it's really just kind of almost following logic. Okay, there's our first beetle, so we need 2 of them to make the hook beetle, and they're upgrades, so you can get them in whatever order. And yeah.
So forget about what I just said about how there's only 2 checks, because that opened up deep woods.
Yeah.
Actually, that's about it. Actually, there's 3. There's now 4 checks, I believe, plus the Lake Floria check that Gymnast likes to do out of logic.
Oh yeah, he would have to go for that one, yeah.
And getting the log jump, which saves a couple of seconds, because normally when you push that log, there's a cutscene, and if you never have to go that way again, then it saves time to skip that cutscene.
Yeah, so lepelog getting his beetle and Gymnast starting the Kikai quest. This is like another one of those long checks, which will take a while to do, but they're worth it because, you know, skipping long checks, skipping long checks have seem to be sometimes the deciding factor of the race. And so yeah, I know that both these runners are definitely wanting to skip like Levias, as I mentioned earlier, but it's like with something like Slingshot, it's kind of not really that out of the way.
Yeah, and there's the fact that Owling Crystals is behind the Slingshot check, so that makes it so that you want to get the Slingshot check done on your first trip, so that way you're able to activate the Owling Crystals quest and complete it on your next visit to Farron. So yeah, right now runners are basically synced.
Yeah, they're right. Yeah, definitely. I think Gymnast is a little bit ahead, but I believe lepelog did more Skylift stuff. So yeah, for the most part, they are basically synced.
Or, yeah, I guess synced is the wrong word, but they're like basically lepelog's just following what Gymnast is doing for the most part.
Yeah, Gymnast getting a song, or at least a part of a song. And yeah, basically how songs work in this game is that they will, if you have a song plus the Goddess Harp, you'll be able to open up a Silent Realm, which is just one check in themselves. These are long checks, so they'll have hints attached to them, like when they get the full songs, or just one in the case of like Furor's Courage or whatever. It'll say you might need word reveals, or it might not be important, and that will kind of be the cue to like say this is useful, or this might be useful, or it won't be.
Yeah, and since Song of the Hero has 3 parts, that means that we need to get all 3 parts before we can find out if there's anything useful behind it. So, no lobster roll from Jim. We'll see if lepelog gets it, or even goes for it.
Yeah, well, lobster will give you swag points, so...
Yeah, very important swag points. So, Jim is pushing that log down, which you would never push down in vanilla speedruns, but that enables you to get it back there quickly so that you can check Owlin or retrieve Ulos for the Owlin quest that I keep talking about. So that's just prep for later. Yeah, if Gymnast wins this, then the series is over. There will only be a game 3 if Lepelog wins. So yeah, Jim technically, I think, could have gone for an extending blow by shield bashing the attack of the shield bashing attack from the Boko to stun it, but decided just to go for Cube Warp, which is, I think, also fine. Doesn't have to waste the time setting up a trick that's RNG and will only work a quarter of the time.
Yeah, someone else in chat who got third place. The bronze match will be happening after the finals, so that's cool. Yeah, and this is single elimination, so it doesn't get determined on who's the last in the loser bracket because there isn't one. So yeah, it'll be decided on a bronze match between me and Jazznix happening after finals. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jim is checking the viewing platform statue so that he can land there later. One important factor in these races too can be remembering to check statues, and like, because I think like one thing I've said before is like, so many times in these rando races I have regretted not checking a statue.
Yeah. It's like just kind of like awareness they must have. Like it's the same awareness that like be like not picking up the dungeon map at, like if it's the hard container.
Yeah. I mean, it mostly comes down to like thinking about like, well, what checks do I have remaining, and is this going to be a convenient way to get there? Also, Jim got a little bit trolled by his rupee medal, as like I had kind of mentioned earlier might happen, so he got the blue rupee text.
Yeah. Someone in chat is saying that you can't do back in time without a physical reset button. This is not true. You can just do it from the home menu. This is how people on emulation Wii U do it. So, yeah. It's not just impossible if you don't have like a reset button. It is still possible.
Yeah, that said,
Pac-Man Progress to beat you to it. Nice.
Yeah, that said, it is still slower, and also a second part of the Song of the Hero. So now we're gonna start to, like, we've got two of them in a very early sphere. So
lepelog missing the kind of precise grass cutting. So yeah, you'll have to wait for Erla to walk.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes that just kind of happens. Like, you get what you think are two really good Skyward strikes, and Erla still moves.
Oh yeah, it's dumb. Yeah. Yeah. So Jim is going for the one check in Lake Floria. A lot of people do not like this play, but I personally think that if it isn't logic, it can be useful anyway, because you can like. Sometimes it can be a really useful item here. That can give you an advantage. Like, it's a sword this time, so that could give Jim an advantage if they end up sword hunting, so...
Yeah, this also unlocks a check in Isle of Songs. Granted, that check will also be out of logic because they don't have a sword, but that might incentivize Jim to go to Thunderhead now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think if I was in Jim's position, I probably wouldn't have gone for this, because I wouldn't know if Scale would ever appear, or if, like, Lake Floria would ever be in logic, but it, yeah, he got a sword, so I guess that also kind of tells him that Lake Fleur will at some point be in logic, because I think logically you required all sorts. Not technically, but logically.
Yeah.
Although a sword can be in True Master Sword, which is, like, can be annoying, I guess, in some cases.
Wow!
Yeah, if there's a vanilla TMS, it means that you have to find all three of the other ones. So Jim is talking to Oriel there to activate that quest. So that will allow him to get an item from her brother back on Skyloft, which is normally a bottle with mushroom spores. So we'll see what that item winds up being. And as I suspected, Jim is heading to Thunderhead, which he might have done anyways, but I think finding the sword upgrade gave him extra incentive to come here.
Okay, Slingshot. So that is... that can be logically required for Lake Fleur, but in the race setting it's a convenience, yes, but it's basically used for nothing. Nothing of importance.
Yeah, I mean, because we already have Beetle, the Slingshot doesn't really do much for us that the Beetle can't already do, but it's certainly a lot faster in a lot of situations than using the Beetle. But it doesn't open up anything. Okay, so I guess Lepelog did not find the sword, so Lepelog will have one fewer check here in Thunderhead than Jim will. Okay, so this left chest corresponds to Nehru's wisdom, so this is the out of logic one. And turns out it doesn't really matter because it's a heart piece.
Gust Bellows, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so Gust Bellows required for LMF. It also will open up a check on Skyloft for cleaning Malara's house. And later, if we get Claw Shots, it'll open up the item in the bird's nest.
Hmm.
We are getting a prediction from Jazznix that Water Dragon Scale will be on Malara.
It was there at some point, I think, when like Jim went to Lake Fleur for a really good item, and it was just on Malara like 5 minutes later.
I mean, fair CJ. It's like a 95% chance we'll get Claw Shots, but I mean, there's the possibility that like Claw Shots is on Fledge Crystals or something.
Hmm.
It's a very unlikely possibility, but it could happen. So, Jim heading into Bazaar, going to advance Beatrice. So, Beatrice is one of those other long checks. And so we need to have a total of 10 conversations with her and her dad in order to complete the quest, where we will be declaring our love for Beatrice and getting whatever item she has. And we have a prediction for Elden Tablet on Beatrice.
That would suck. But yeah, again, I think both these runners tend to like avoid long checks such as Pedro's, and Lepelog getting unfortunately bodied by tornadoes, which do kind of suck in Rando. given the tornado speed. And amber tablet on Haru's bottle, I think. So that's cool.
But that only gives us one item logically. Now, both these runners will probably go and break slide through mines to get the out of logic items there, but we're going to need either a second beetle or a bomb bag or claw shots to advance logically. Also, I don't really like this play of just going into Peter's house just to have that conversation now, because what you can actually do is when you get the darling text from Beatrice, you can then go to Peter and Beatrice's house and then have the first conversation, sleep tonight again, and then have the second conversation right away. And it takes a little bit less time than having to enter his house basically a third time. But now there's 2 items on Betrow, and we'll see what those are. Okay, so more gratitude crystals, but that doesn't really help us immediately. So I think it's between Malara's crystals and the first check in Lanayru. Can you think of any other checks that we haven't seen yet that are in logic?
No. I guess.
Yeah, because we can't get to 30 crystals yet, which would be what we need for the next 2 Betrow items.
Yeah, right, so yeah, Gymnast Jazz doing cleaning crystals. And yeah, both of them are kind of on the Skyloft right now, just doing some cleanup, literally in Jim's case.
Yep, so we'll get an item and 20 rupees. Okay, that puts Betrow 30 in logic.
Yeah.
Because there are 11 crystals obtainable, and that's kind of unfortunate for because neither runner got the single crystals in Lumpy Pumpkin. So they're gonna need to make a trip there to get, or actually no, because they can get, I think they're actually set to get 10 crystals on Sky, or 9 more crystals on Skyloft, because they have Beetle. They might need to get the item from Beetle's shop, but it looks like Jim is just going to go ahead and go into Lanayru and hope he finds a crystal pack either in or out of logic in Lanayru.
Yeah, right. Looks like Jim's just going straight to Lanayru. Not even talking to Dodo, which I find interesting, because it's something you'd always kind of want to do. So either he forgot, or he's like, you know, he's got a plan, probably.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is he doesn't have Bomb Bag yet. Now, granted, there's always the possibility that that first chest has Bomb Bag in it, which is why I feel like you always start these quests as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because you, like, I have definitely commentated races where, like, you find your claw shots right away in Eldin, or you find your bombs right away in Lanayru. and then you didn't start the quest, and now you need to take an extra sky trip to start the quest. Nice spin attack from Jim to clear out the electric shoes. Electric shoes here can be really dangerous.
Yeah. Like, there's specifically a point in Sand Sea where, like, in like one kind of room where they can be really annoying.
Yeah, so the one in logic item is the one that we get after riding this mine cart, which is why this is a check that a lot of runners will put off just because of how long it takes to get to it. But Jim is actually rewarded for going to Lanayru straight away because now he has 5 more crystals.
Yeah, and this is like the problem with picking up lone crystals, which, I mean, there isn't really a problem in general, because, I mean, more crystals is more crystals, but you can just get them straight out of a chest and kind of lose all that time from picking them up manually.
Yeah, it's like this, like, it's kind of the gamble of, like, do you want to gamble that there could be crystals here, or that I will spend time picking up all these individual crystals that I know are there, but then potentially lose time if there happens to be crystals, like in Lanayru or whatever. So Jim's doing the break slide that I talked about to skip through the rest of mines. So brake sliding is done by, in the middle of a run, basically frame perfectly switching to holding Z and ESS back on the nunchuck. It's made like humanly possible by home buffering.
Or rolling, but home buffering is much easier.
Yeah. And in Sync Sand, it's basically almost always home buffering, unless you can, like, start the brake slide immediately. Because I think, like, I think we saw a roll buffered brake slide from Jim right there.
Yeah. It's like, brake sliding is, like, incredibly useful, especially on, Lanayru movement and on sand, so yeah. Also means a lot can go wrong, so like definitely makes Lanayru the hardest place to move in.
Yeah, so lepelog is making the same play as Jim's. So gonna also find that 5 crystal pack, and we'll see if lepelog also decides to continue here and do these out of logic checks. So nothing gained out of logic here thus far. So now Jim's doing probably the most difficult brake slide, and unfortunately he fails the first one.
This one is like especially difficult though. It's like you have to do 2 really good ones back to back whilst managing your stamina. But you know, with some practice and muscle memory, it's not too hard usually.
Yeah. So Jim is going to check the lone item that he can check in Fire Node. There are 5 chests in here, but 2 of them are locks behind Bomb Bag, and 2 of them are locks behind Hook Beetle. Neither of which Jim has right now. Yeah, so thus far, this out of logic play has not gained Jim anything, and lepelog is making the decision to bail on Laneru and just get, I think in lepelog's case it's 3 more single crystals, because I think the last I saw his crystal count was 22, which would make it 27 now. But Jim has the advantage of being able to land at the Stone Cache statue immediately should he get Bomb Bag and Hook Beetle, and be able to just go clockwise around Laneru from Fire Node to Lightning Node, which is the optimal route for powering on the nodes. So now Jim is talking to Dodo.
Yeah, kind of interesting route decision, I guess, because you'd want to do it before the Nehru, but I mean, okay. And could be mistake or.
Yeah, I mean,
Or could just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would generally always check it first, or talk to Dodo first, but I mean, that is the safe play. So lepelog needs to get 2 more single crystals, I think. And then he can get the Betrow 30 item. Okay, that was the last one he needed. I guess I had miscounted. So Jim is also going to need to collect single crystals, and I think lepelog may be the first to actually check Betrow 30. So claw shots on Betrow 30, so yeah, we did in fact get our claw shots this seed.
Yeah.
Jim making an uncharacteristic error by mismanaging his stamina there. So I guess that is also Jim with 30, and I completely missed what the cursed metal chest had.
Goddess Plume.
Okay, so it was basically those claw shots. So there's actually now 2 checks on Skyloft we can get. We can get the Bird's Nest item and the item in Zelda's closet, as well as this also opens up a few more checks in Lanayru Desert and opens up a lot of Sand Sea. Also in Farron, this unlocks the Lake Floor, or not Lake Floor, the Great Tree Chest. And thankfully, Sandship is not a required dungeon this time, so yeah, so our runners will not have to worry about that. So we have a key piece. So interesting that Jim, it's still night for Jim. So Jim is probably going to be collecting some single crystals that Lepelog is not going to collect. And this might become important later. And yes, Lepelog found the first key piece. So K-E-Y key. And Jim was slashing his sword a couple times before diving, so maybe a little unsure about his calibration. So back in time is allowed, with certain exceptions, namely being the Temple of Time statue RBM is banned, and getting out of or leaving Skyloft in back in time is banned. But apart from that, back in time is allowed.
So in chat, just is RBM allowed other than those 2 instances? Yeah, but I mean, it's like, again, was like when we say back in time is pretty much all allowed. We include iterations of reverse bit magic. Again, with just like that one exception, being the Temple of Time reverse bit magic. Like everything else that you can do on Skyloft is allowed, like opening the temple door, skipping Tentalus, among other stuff. Now, of course, like a lot of these things are like really slow, so they're not entirely things you want to do automatically. And again, the Tentalus skip isn't something you really want to do until Go mode, because you can like lock yourself out of the heart container. And so a lot of it's kind of gambling on like when you should do what glitches, and yeah.
So Lepelog is rushing the rest of the Beatrice quest, it looks like. Whereas Jim's just going to head right back to Lanayru. It's interesting that we're also leaving the Great Tree Chest, but I suppose that the runners are probably also gonna want to wait for bombs before they go back to Farron so they can also check the bomb locked locations, or Water Dragon Scale to be able to check the remaining Lake Floria checks. So the first Clawshot lock check in Lanayru is this chest up here at the very entrance. Wow, and it's been a really healthy seed so far. Like, lots. Like, you usually don't see this many heart pieces early on. Yeah, so now we'll get to answer the question of what is on Beatrice, because this could swing the race wildly. Meanwhile, Jim is going to be getting the Sansi key and also one other item. And unfortunately for lepelog, Beatrice was a gigantic waste of time. Just a pouch expansion. Very interesting, though, that Jim is choosing to rush Sansi.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, this is what kind of gymnast does. He often does a lot of like kind of these sorts of plays where he stays on the surface for a long time. So yeah.
So
yeah.
Right now, he doesn't have anything open to him in Skipper's Retreat because he would need Hook Beetle, Bomb Bag, or Whip to check anything there. So all he has open to him right now is Pirate Stronghold, which he's gonna have to sail for quite a ways to get to, and but it does have 3 items, and Jim is banking that those 3 items will be useful.
Yeah, and then Jazznix took a point. Is like, why would you do Sansi without Whip? Well, what if Whip is in Sansi? This is why I don't like people saying, "Oh, why you don't do this?" Like, it's because like that item could be in the place you're exactly using. It's a low possibility, but it's still a possibility. And it's like, and you'll see a lot of runners like Gymnast, and especially like myself in like Ancient System and Sandship, go for these sorts of checks.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a game of probabilities, and the thing is, so, like, I feel like for Jim should be considering himself to be favored in this matchup, and so I feel like in Jim's position, he should generally be going for the highest item density, and although like Pirate Stronghold has 3 items, it takes so long to get to, and he could have already checked the 3 Clawshot locked items in Desert by now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say do Sansi the last, not do it first, because it's like so many more better places in the Neo you could do previously, but okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like there's also I keep bringing up Great Tree Chest as another Clawshot locked thing, but like that's the other kind of like low percentage play that like if you're gonna make a low percentage play, I think that's the play you would make. But we'll see. Maybe Jim will prove me wrong. And lepelog's going straight to desert. Lepelog's doing probably the play I would make in this situation. So, first chest is rupees that he can't even hold in his wallet. Not that rupees are too important in this version of the randomizer. And yeah, CJ also pointing out that if Lepe happens to find Whip in one of these checks, he has a huge advantage going into Sansi over Jim. And Lepelog, the first to find the Ruby tablet in Desert. But Jim
on the
finding...
bags, yeah.
So, okay, each runner has found a different key item. This is actually suddenly really interesting. So Jim's going to be incentivized to go back to Farron now.
Yes, you guys. Yes, you guys. This is why you go to Sansi, even though if you don't have Whip. Yeah, sorry, continue.
But he's also going to want to talk to Owlin first, so that he can activate that quest, so that he can retrieve Ulo on that same trip. However, Lepelog with the Ruby tablet has the advantage of item density.
Yeah.
Whereas Jim kind of has checks opened up in Farron, he has checks opened up in Lanayru Desert, he has one check available in Skipper's Retreat now. So Jim's checks are kind of all over the place, whereas Lepelog's going to be pushed straight to Eldin. And I believe Lepelog has talked to iDude, so he'll be able to get the crystal ball.
Someone else in chat, how many bomb bags can pull? Yeah, just one. There's only one bomb bag. There's not like upgrades, it's just one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so you have the bomb bag item. There's also one expansion bomb bag that's in the pool, but that doesn't give you the bomb bag item. That just lets you hold more bombs in your pouch if you already have the bomb bag. Okay. Yeah, so Jim is now heading to Desert and... Oh, okay, so Jim is saving so he can go backwards through mines to the check he was not able to do earlier. And if that check happens to be garbage, he can just save scum it, so that he doesn't have to waste the time going back.
Yeah. It's like a really easy technique that's like really easy to kind of forget about.
Yeah, I feel like Jim, out of like everyone in this tournament, probably like has the best sense of like when to do these save scums. Probably because he also has a lot of experience with Wind Waker Rando. So yeah. He has the kind of the advantage of like not only just having a general execution advantage over almost everyone, but also having a lot of experience with, in this case, Wind Waker Rando that kind of transfers over.
Yeah, and also Leper leaving Lanayru, not going to Sansi, which he doesn't know it, but we all kind of know that this can potentially, if he leaves it for too long, it can grow into a horrible situation. So, Yeah. See, why do you skip checks? I just don't get it. Anyway, yeah, Gymnast getting Elden all. Well, yeah, lepelog does have mitts, so it's not going to be all bad. He can still get a lot of checks in Elden, so that's not going to affect him. But bombs are a required item.
Yep. So Jim is going to head over to pick up the Dodo's party wheel and also check the Kikai chest right next to it.
Yeah, the story of that is basically I was trying to look for claw shots. I forgot that chest existed because it was like back in the days when there weren't a tracker. And then I lost location this, and that run was like what 7-8 hours. Like,
yeah, well, it also had cubes enabled and a
yeah.
whole bunch of other stuff. Like, it was very early on in the rando, so like we still hadn't quite tweaked the settings down to something of reasonable length.
Yeah, Jim talked to Dodo, I think, when he first left Linear, I think he specifically just went out to do that.
So, Red Rupee on the ledge, so Lepe is not going to waste his time with that. Interesting that lepelog went to claw shot that the pirate there when he had slingshot, which I think would have been a lot easier to hit it with. I mean, yeah, but equipping a different item in this game takes 0 time. So might have been that lepelog just forgot that he had slingshot. That's fairly easy to do. So Jim checking Hook Beetle, getting the really nice jump slash into the cutscene trigger right at the end of the fight. Okay, so Jim now has a couple more... Yeah. Magnets don't do anything for him, though, until he gets Fire Shield Earrings. And Jim now has 2 more checks opened up here in the Fire node. Unfortunately missing the bomb with his slingshot. So he's just going to activate the time shift stone here because he's assuming he's not going to find Hook Beetle in one of these 2 chests. Speaking of Fire Shield Earrings, there they are.
Yeah.
So now,
yeah.
Yeah. So now lepelog is getting punished for not going to Sand Sea. Because Jim will have an additional check available to him when he goes to Elden in Volcano Summit that lepelog will not be able to access.
Yeah, Jim getting his Ruby tablet.
Yeah, Lepe getting a useless 5 bombs because he doesn't have the bomb bag yet. So yeah, Jim being able to take that clockwise path around Lanayru that I was talking about earlier. He'll be able to activate the lightning and water nodes, but because he doesn't have Hook Beetle yet, he cannot activate the fire node. Oh, and I missed lepelog got Harp, presumably in Magma Turf, which could be, well, is a required item. If
Yeah.
a trial happens to show up soon as required, that could give Lepa a small edge.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see another trial chain like we've seen for like the past 2 races now. Like, I can't, was the first finals match a trial chain? I know that the semi-finals, like, me versus Jim was a trial chain, but was that, like, the first, finals? I don't know if it was. Either way, well, there's another sword for Leper. So they're both at longsword now, they both need 2 more swords to get to Master Sword.
Yeah, lepelog also going to need to go the long way around here because he doesn't have Bomb Bag. So that's another advantage that Jim will have, is he'll be able to bomb the rocks there and take a shortcut to the last 2 dig spots and basically go the back way towards Earth Temple. Also, with the fact that we have only seen 1 key piece thus far, I think we can assume that Earth Temple is very late in logic.
Yeah, because like the key pieces are usually very spread out, so it's usually very late in logic. So I think going to Earth Temple for just checks alone is an amazing idea. Okay, well here's a second one, as we we're just talking about it, right. But yeah, it normally is very late in logic anyway.
Yeah, so as of right now, we've hit the hour mark, and I would say that this is thus far small advantage to Jim because Jim has the Ruby Tablet and the Bomb Bag, whereas lepelog has not gone to Sansi yet. So Whip was in fact bomb locked, so that's gonna push Lepe away from Sansi for a very long time.
Yeah, like if he's in the mentality of I'll go to Sansi when I have Whip, that's a problem because Whip is locked by bombs, which is in Sansi. So that could be detrimental to Leper, but we'll see what he intends to do. But right now he intends to do Earth Temple.
Yeah, so he's activating back in time now to do the Earth Temple door RBM. So he's copying a file. So what he's going to do with that is he's going to create a corrupt file on slot 3, I think. What is he doing? Because what he's doing right now doesn't... Yeah, he just realized he needs to have a file without the tunic to be able to enter back in time Skyloft at night. So he's gonna corrupt file 3.
Yeah. Come on, Leper's choking. Not like this.
Okay, so now that he has that, he can enter that.
Yeah, so I'm just where did Leper get... sorry, you go.
Yeah. Now, one thing is, I think, like, in a lot of these situations... So, I'm pretty sure he rushed to do this RBM now so that he could avoid getting the early Thunderhead flag on his file before going through this, because that... if you create the corrupt file with the file that has the early Thunderhead flag, you commit the early Thunderhead flag. which is bad because you activate it immediately. Now, you can mitigate that if you, instead of creating a corrupt file, you just bit save a new game file. Which is something that I haven't really seen runners do, but yeah, it's a thing that you can potentially do to mitigate the early Thunderhead problem.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like, well, to avoid it, I normally just make a bit magic file like 1 minute into the game on Skyloft, which is just works, like, for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that also works, and if you have dungeons like Skyview or Fire Sanctuary where you know you're going to be like needing to go to like the Upper Academy statue in bit, then it can be really useful to have that bit magic file. Also,
Yeah.
lepelog deciding to leave because he doesn't yet have bomb bag.
I understand this play if you're not confident in Bombless Caldera, but it just seems, I guess, weird to me, but that's just probably because I always do Earth Temple no matter how hard it is, so yeah. Like, but this play makes total sense, though, like, logically. And also he can just find bomb bag out here, so yeah. This is not a fault, this is just kind of making decisions. And also not remembering to do Sparrow.
Yep. Or I-Dude, as we like to call him. And Gymnast is going to land back here and checked Skipper's Retreat, which he was not able to check earlier.
I feel like Gymnast kind of knows Leper's strategy of avoiding Sansi, so he's just kind of going to Sansi to get as much advantage. And so far, it's definitely paying off.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the important things in these 1v1 matchups, is knowing your opponent and knowing their tendencies and playing against them.
Yeah, like, I'll just kind of use myself as an example. Like, I knew, like, in the semifinals match that Gymnast didn't often go for Levias, so I went for Levias. And that did not pay off, but again, that just kind of shows you that, like, a lot of decisions can be dependent on who you know your opponent is.
Yeah, and I mean, that was just kind
Leper getting Spiral Charge, so puts Levias in logic for him.
Yeah, and I mean, in your case, yeah, it was just kind of an unfortunate situation where, like, had it been the other way around and, like, Levias had the important progression, like, it would have paid off for you, but...
Yeah, like, that match really just came down to Amber Tablet placement. But yeah, like, if you haven't seen that match, I'd highly recommend you check it out. Like, it's some parts of that are on par with, like, Jim versus X, though. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's one of the highlights of the tournament, so I'd recommend anyone check that out if they haven't already. But yeah, it came down to something really kind of close and unfortunate for myself. But anyway, Gymnast is again going through Skipper's Retreat with the whip. Starting with a heart container, so, you know, just kind of starting off with more health. Convenient, but not required.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's convenient to have the health refill in this area, because this area can be really dangerous. Like, case in point, Jim getting attacked immediately by that Phoenix. Also, lepelog not extending the bridge, which, I kind of understand it, but I feel like you can put yourself in an awkward situation if you don't extend the bridge and then later, like, you want to check the first Volcano Summit item and you don't have a bottle. It then makes it really awkward to get out of Volcano Summit. Well, lepelog finds the first bottle of the seed.
Yeah, bottles aren't necessarily required for dungeons, but they might be if there's something in, like, the digging spot in Volcano Summit.
Yeah. Yeah, so that will open up Oriel's crystals and the other check in Volcano Summit. Jim finding the bow. Not technically required for either of our dungeons, but like it will speed up some things in LMF considerably, as well as speeding up the very beginning of Earth Temple, because you can just snipe the drawbridge rope. And also, like, the thing with the bow too is like arrow count is something that's really important to keep track of in Rando.
Yeah.
Because like the runners are gonna want to have a few arrows when they go through LMF, just because there's certain places where being able to snipe a time shift stone with the bow is way faster than having to resort to the beetle or having to resort to precise aim with the slingshot.
Yeah, okay, so both runners kind of in the sky right now, and we'll definitely see what they both plan doing next. Leper with the spiral charge, going for the rocks, and he's also clipping in here, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, more gradual crystals.
So, my understanding of what happens with that is that if you dive like as you start the spiral charge, then it basically removes the collision check for the rocks that are broken with the spiral charge, and that's what causes you to clip through them. It's something like that. Also, lepelog getting bodied. So Jim can check the remaining Betrow items. More key pieces. More crystals. You gotta love when Betrow 50 has more crystals, because those crystals are completely useless because there will be no progression behind the 70 or 80 rewards. So it's just, so yeah, that was just a giant debate. Yeah, now I think like in the last finals race, the Earth Temple key was actually completed despite Earth Temple not being a required dungeon, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is actually funnier because when you have when Earth Temple is not a required dungeon, then the key pieces are not considered part of the progression pool.
Yeah. Like, it would really just take one key piece to be in an unrequired dungeon, and you are not getting the full key piece, so, yeah. It's incredibly rare to see that. But yeah,
Yes.
we have both our runners just kind of going through Skyloft, like, you know, I'm liking both these plays, none of them has made a bad play. I mean, you can say Leper making a bad play for Santi, but, like, really it's just, his, like, kind of going for bigger, better checks. Someone in chat asked what's wrong with Leper's connection. Nothing's wrong, it's just, you know, good old EU internet.
Yeah, so Jim is now going to enter the Elden Pillar and get all the same checks that lepelog got earlier, but the difference being that Jim is going to probably complete Earth Temple, whereas Lepe failed after the first check due to not having Bomb Bag. And Jim will be able to do both checks in Volcano Summit because he will have a bottle by that point and already has Fire Shield earrings.
Yeah.
So Jim is going to do Jim is going to right away open the Earth Temple door. Which I think, because he knows that no matter what he is doing Earth Temple on this trip, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like I agree with this as well. Someone I think in chat asked, why is this in 4 hours? The estimate is really lenient because randos, even though this rando is normally 2 or 3 hours, if it's really bad seed, it can be exponentially long and just bad. So it's set for the worst case scenario, even though that's like a 0.1% chance of actually being 4 hours. Realistically, it's like 3, but you know, they can get exponentially bad.
Yeah, and I think like the 4 hours was also kind of a safe estimate that we had when we were first starting out this tournament, and we wanted to, and like we had some experience with these settings, but like now I think like I think for top tier runners, I think like it's safe to say a 3-hour estimate, and that's what Jim put on his GDQ submission, but it can, but like also like the 4-hour estimate kind of was to cover a wider range of skill levels than what we have in the finals.
Yeah. Someone in chat asking, will there be another rando tournament this summer? In terms of rando, there will be, I believe, a league and kind of weekly races after this. In terms of actual tournaments, I believe there might be one much later on in the year, but that's kind of very future. No one knows what's going to happen with that. So, but definitely look forward to more competitive Skyward Sword rando, because I think a lot of the admins and just the development team have a lot of plans to kind of keep this alive and not make it just die after the tournament.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely going to have at the very least weekly races. Whether or not they'll be restreamed is yet to be determined, but there will definitely be some kind of competitive events, and we're still kind of working out what we want that to look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Skyward Sword Rando as itself is just really kind of new, so it's like there's a lot to do with this. Like we're still kind of tinkering around with a lot of like even just the race settings, seeing what works and what doesn't. So honestly, I just see a lot of potential in this game, and yeah. Okay, Leper saves coming. The key. Oh, yeah, basically.
Yeah, which is interesting because lepelog also doesn't have 50 crystals yet. So if Lepe wants to check the 50 crystals later, he's going to have to also go through the key piece text again. So Jim's going to have a lot of minor time saves all over the place because he has Bomb Bag.
Yeah, it's like probably the most useful item in rando is core shots, but like probably a good second is Bomb Bag. Like it'll not only unlock so much in linear, it'll save a lot of time in a lot of places. So it's good that Jim has that and kind of took that gamble to go to Sansi, and we'll see how much that ends up paying off for him.
Interesting. So lepelog looked like he walked over to Alan's door but didn't actually go in.
I believe he already said it earlier, I think.
Okay, so he did actually activate that quest.
Yeah. I want to say at least.
Yeah. So it's not in logic for lepelog, but I mean he could. If he pushed the log, he can check it out of logic. Logically, it requires Bomb Bag because the intended path to get to Ulo is to bomb a rock that blocks the crawl space after you get slingshot.
Yeah.
And so, but if you push that log down that we saw Gymnast push down, then you can just climb that log to get to that area without needing Bomb Bag. But because you have to do that, logically, the logic requires Bomb Bag for that check to actually be in logic.
Yeah, I saw someone in chat ask, why is Leopard delaying Sand Chip? Well, he's delaying Sand Chip because Sand Chip is not a required dungeon, but Sand Sea, I think it's just because, well, he's like he's kind of part of the Exo gang of just universally hating Sand Sea, in the same way you'd hate Levias. Which can sometimes pay off if nothing's in the Sand Sea, but this time it won't, because, you know, there's bombs in the Sand Sea. And if he's looking for Whip, then Whips are locked by bombs, so that's an issue for lepelog.
Yeah. So Leopard
Yeah, good job, Flo.
is going to Baron, so might be doing an out of logic Allen Crystals check, and I guess also there's the Great Tree Chest and the Ballad of the Goddess check. Those are the checks that lepelog has in this area. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, not going to be able to get everything here because he doesn't have Bomb Bag yet. But also to point out, as Gymnast is doing this, claw-shotting the vines off to the side enables him to skip the magma text. But unfortunately, because of that, he cannot go for circles.
Yeah. Someone asked in chat, like, well, could they be getting Goddess Cubes to go to the sky? Well, Goddess Cubes will always contain non-progression in these settings. It's Goddess Cubes and minigames. Everything else will contain stuff, but yeah. Okay, Jim getting the white sword. He just needs one more sword, then he's got Master Sword. What does he even need now? He needs... I believe he just needs 2 more items. He just needs that and another beetle upgrade, I think.
Yeah.
By the looks of yeah, that's all he needs, and then he's in go mode. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, those could be there's a lot of places that those could wind up being.
Yeah, because like the yeah, just the beetle and the swords, they can just be anywhere. So this is why a lot of runs turn into sword hunts, because it's like swords aren't really required for anything other than beating the game, so they can literally be anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, so Jim getting his first bottle, so that is going to make him think harder about Volcano Summit.
Yeah.
We'll see if he decides to do that immediately or wait until after he does Earth Temple.
Yeah. Well, I think the most significant thing right now is that Jim is 2 items from go mode, I think. Just a sword and a beetle upgrade.
So lepelog finally checking the Great Tree Chest. This has been in logic for a while.
Hylian Shield, that happened like very recently, I think, in a race, I want to say. Or when like one of my seasons, I can't remember. I remember seeing it there recently.
And lepelog also doing the jump/down in order to exit to the lower ledge to quickly exit the tree, which I think is significantly faster than death warping.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I mean, if you have 2 hearts, then and like you're not really comfortable with movement, you kind of might as well death warp. But if you can do it, just do it. It's much faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree. Yeah, if you have 2 hearts and you also kind of want the health refill, then yeah, death warping is better in that scenario. But I think in most scenarios, if you have a decent amount of health, then it's better to just do the movement to exit normally, because it's not that slow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every second that goes by that Leper is not in Samsey, he's like gently losing time, because that's where like that's where a bomb bag is, which is hard required. So if lepelog is gonna last location Samsey, well, that's bad news for Leper, because you know, that's where bomb bag is. So yeah, it's understandable that Leper's making a lot of like, these kind of like off-meta plays, or kind of like alternate strategies to kind of save time over Jim's movement. But at this point, it's not like doing well for him. I guess it's like he's making gambles, but all the wrong gambles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Now, this check that lepelog is doing now is a check that Gymnast will be forced to do no matter what, because this check raises the gate of time. So lepelog is not losing that much time by doing this. So it'll be interesting, because if this has a sword on it, or another beetle, then that would then Jim might not check this location for a while.
Yeah.
Because he might be like hoping that this is that he won't have to go back to Seal Temple before endgame.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we're kind of like a lot of talking like, oh, Gymnast is like, you know, kind of ahead right now. You can still like just be looking for ages for like the last sword and Hook Beetle, and you know, lepelog can still be ahead. Also, Cat Jam on Leper's side. But yeah, Gymnast has all like the items he needs for doing Elden properly, so he doesn't need to do like Bomber's God there, he doesn't need to do Key Seed, he's kind of got everything fine. It's like the polar opposite of like me versus Muzu, where I just did like everything difficult in Temple. Yeah, but Jim is also missing the last cutscene skip, I guess. So.
Yeah, jumped a little early.
Yeah. Someone in chat asking why is Hook Beetle required. It's only required for Linear Mining Facility and logically for Fire Sanctuary, although that can be skipped, but that's for another time. But LMF, it's for like it's, you know, opening the dungeon, and for Fire Sanctuary, it's going through the dungeon, at least on like logically. Yeah, but say if you get like a Skyview Ancient System, you can just not get Hook Beetle. Yeah, okay, so lepelog leaving Farron. He's probably gonna do Owlin Crystals, and what he does next can, like, if he goes to Santi next, he can definitely mitigate a lot of his lost time. But yeah.
So, Jim fighting the Lizalfos. Lizalfos being a little bit mean to him, but he still manages to take care of them very quickly. Wow, so this is the 4th bottle that we've seen this seed. That, like, we went from 0 bottles to 4, like, relatively quickly. And wow, fetch quest for a fetch quest on lepelog's side. We now have Colin's letter.
Someone in chat asks, 3D, what 3D Zelda doesn't have a rando? Yeah, I think all the 3D Zeldas have a rando, if I'm not mistaken. I think a lot of the remakes don't, but definitely, well, I mean, Ocarina of Time 3D does have a randomizer, but I definitely think all of the SD games has a rando. I think even TP, I believe.
Yeah, so lepelog is talking to Toilet Hand to activate Colin's letter. So he can get the Colin's letter item and then do the and then turn in Colin's letter to Karane.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking he might have just given the letter to the Toilet Hand, but he decided not to do that. Which,
so I think it's slower in every situation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because he's already completed Beatrice.
Okay, there's the third key piece, yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, Jim is doing some iterations of reverse bit magic, basically just stealing some scene flags and applying them to Earth Temple to kind of manipulate the states of objects. In this case, being the like the platforms to kind of progress through the dungeon.
Yeah, so now Jim will be able to skip the boulder rolling section where you have to like roll the boulder through this long tunnel and it's kind of annoying and slow. So now as soon as he reloads the area, that the bridge will already be raised and he'll be able to just head right to the back after he does all these checks.
Yeah, so lepelog, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, not gonna lie, I was expecting there to be a heart piece in that chest.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, lepelog is doing its official name is Ghost Pipit's Crystals, so we'll see if this is anything useful. If it is, then Owlin Crystals could be, because this is look behind Owlin Crystals, so it could be hard required. Average link in the chat says any % of everyone is dying to Earth Temple. Yeah, they do that. Okay, blue buff for that. Okay, so Owlin Crystals is unfortunately useless. Yeah, I mean, like half of my any % attempts are just no reset. Not gonna lie. Like imagine having the time to reset. Couldn't be me. Okay, so lepelog saving. Okay. Boss key for Jim. So. Yeah. Someone in chat asks, when is Game 3? Game 3 is needed if lepelog wins this. If he wins this, he'll need to go to Game 3, but if Gymnast gets kind of like the 2 bars on the side of his name, then he'll win the tournament outright. And Game 3 would not be required. Harmjan saying, well yeah, 24 hours in a row is just no reset. That is a good point. Game 3 I think is scheduled for some point some point next week, I think, in like kind of like the weekdays. I believe it's Thursday at same time.
Thursday sounds right.
Yeah, assuming it of course happens, because if Jim wins this, then it won't happen. Okay, Ricky with the confirmation. Thursday 2 p.m. Eastern, I believe it's Eastern time. Oh, or he might just actually say Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, well, I know it's like 6 p.m. UTC, which is technically 18 UTC, but yeah. Yeah, so right now as they stand, okay, yeah, Din's power not too important, that's not great, so not many trials so far, which is sad. So yeah, Gymnast only needs 2 more items. He needs 1 more sword and a beetle upgrade. Lepelog needs 2 swords, one of which is, the one that Jim has, which is in Lake Floria. Beetle, and he also needs bombs. I believe that's it as well. Yeah, so he just needs he needs 4 items. Yeah, 4 items. Gymnast needs 2. Like the biggest route divergences that matter, at least, is Lepelog not doing Sansi, which can be detrimental. It just depends on how quickly Leper goes to Sansi. If he delays Sansi and just the last locations it, well then he is basically done for. And it's again kind of rando being about like, it's really all about quick decision making. It's like, I mean, you can make small ones to save a little bit of time, but if you make the like one big wrong move, you're done for. So we'll see if Lepelog will just keep being delaying. Yeah, just delaying it.
Yeah, so heading to Isle of Songs now. Unfortunately, we know that this second chest is not going to have anything useful for Lepe.
Yes, because we kind of know where half the stuff Leper's looking for is, like bombs in Sansi and a sword in Lake Floria. So yeah, these are both things that Jim would do, but lepelog not doing. So this is like definitely a very favorable seed for Jim, just based on strategy alone.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Water Dragon skill hasn't shown up yet, because like that's because of the fact that that sword's there. So that Water Dragon skill is very deep in logic somewhere.
Like the later what we see War Dragon scale, the worse is going to be for Leper with that sword, unless he finds other swords elsewhere. Who rolled the seed? Harmjan rolled the seed, so you have him to blame. Yeah, not Deer this time.
So yeah.
Okay, ooh, lepelog. I think lepelog is going to Zansia, so it could not be all bad for him. He can definitely make this up.
Yeah.
Someone in chat asked, what is logic? Logic is glitchless, yeah. So glitches are allowed, but they would just be out of logic. So and as a lot of glitches in this game are slow, it'll be a lot of like kind of heavy gambling when you see somebody using glitches. I guess Heatle will be on, Heatle and Swords are going to be on trial, I'm going to call it. Yeah. We don't know if Levias is required, because there's only hints for songs, so like Levias does not have a hint to him, so we only know if he's not required if someone's ever done it. And no one's done Levias so far. And I'd imagine both these runners will last location Levias. But yeah, Leper's going to Sansi now, so he's probably going to get bombs and stuff. Hopefully. I don't think anything was important in the one check and skips retreat, so I think he can skip that fine if he intends to.
Well, he can't even do the one check in the skippers because he would need.
Oh, of course, yeah, he doesn't have bombs or whip. Yeah, no, good point.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that that's actually locked by stuff. Because I can always use I can just don't weekend do it. Yeah. Okay, Skyward Trial might need more reveals.
Yeah. That's a little monk-ass, but I mean, I guess like.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, Skylove Trial is in Skylove, so it's like you don't have to travel to an entire region to kind of get to it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Song of the Hero might be required, or yeah, Skylove Trial might be required.
Yeah. But what else does Jim have to do on Skyloft?
I think he did a lot of his Skylove stuff actually. Red Rupee at the end of Skyview.
Yeah.
Not Skyview, Earth Temple, blah. Wait, Nebu's Wisdom on Skyloft, yes, another trial chain. As if we haven't had enough of those already. Yeah. I mean, I think Jim will have a few, like, small fetch quests, but yeah, other than that, I think he's pretty much done all the major things on Skyloft.
So he might not get to that trial for a while, and at any rate, he's going to want to check Volcano Summit first, because everything in Volcano Summit, which is 2 items, is open to him, so he might as well do those while he's here, and then he won't ever have to go back to Eldon again. Well, I mean, he might think about the potential for the trial, but we know that the trial is not required. So, Jim is going to save Scum Volcano Summit. I think that's a reasonable play. It means that he doesn't have to worry about getting out of Volcano Summit unless he happens to find a good item there.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Dan mentioned in chat, this can just be key pieces on Song of the Hero trial. And that has happened before, so yeah. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, but there's I think 1 key piece unaccounted for. There's 1 bottle unaccounted for. And then we have just Water Dragon Scale and swords and crystals. Actually, yeah, there's enough crystal packs to probably dissuade Jim from doing the trial for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, Skyloft is one of the shorter trials, so like we've seen Jim just kind of go for it because of that. So we could see it. We could see that again, or he might decide not to. Okay, well, there's the Water Dragon Scale, fairly late in logic. So, well, I mean, Leper still needs earrings. He still needs. Well, I think it's just really earrings actually, and then he can probably get the scale soon after.
Yeah.
But it's still out of the way Volcano Summit, so that could be not great.
Yeah, because lepelog still needs to find his whip to get back to Skipper's Retreat to be able to clear the rest of it, and then go to and then go to Volcano Summit to actually do the to do the check to get the Water Dragon Scale, so it'll still be quite some time before lepelog gets that.
Yeah, so yeah, lepelog did get the bomb bag, so he's definitely not as behind as we could initially have thought, or have thought. Yep, words are hard.
Yeah, but lepelog's also still a full Earth Temple behind.
Yeah, so that bit is definitely a little bit behind, really just because of that delaying Samsey. But yeah. You can definitely turn this around. It's not over right now.
Oh yeah, so Jim now needs to go to Skyloft anyways to drop off the crystal ball. And we'll see if he decides to gamble on the trial. I mean, at this point, like... I mean, I guess the Hook Beetle is like the one thing that could be on the trial that would be really damaging for him to not get, like, ASAP.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where, I don't know what movie mitts are, but Mogma mitts, they were in Mogma Turf, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it looks like Jazznix is also doing Beetle's Crystal, which I think was already done by Leper, I want to say. Also, yeah, nice cutscene here. Yeah, we could see Jim buying the bug net here, actually. In this seed, it's hard required because you need it to open up the near mining facility. Because in Rando with the rule set, you can't do any glitches to open it without Hook Beetle. Hook Beetle is straight up required for LMF seeds, at least as far as we know, and within the rule set. Alright, so yeah, lepelog just going straight to Temple upon getting bombs. This, you know, probably the best thing he could have done right now. Given the fact that, at least for him, it's kind of been open for a while, and, you know, it's just required, so he wouldn't lose any time if he finds nothing.
Oh yeah, and lepelog also not having bow is gonna, like he had to use the beetle to cut that rope, which is a little slower than using the bow.
Hell yeah, we got Jim is buying the bug net.
But willing to
I
take
don't think
the
anything was
time.
important at Skippers, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, willing to take the time to get the bug net and doesn't serenade Girahim 3.
Yeah.
SMH my head.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like me versus Jazznix for the bronze match. I'm pretty sure like we'll at this point we'll basically have to have a gentleman's agreement to get the bug net. I don't see any way how that wouldn't be a thing.
Well, I mean, Jazznix will get the bug net regardless.
He will probably actually. Well, like I wouldn't really want to make promises on that because I might forget to and say if like I'm still faster, like it would I don't know. I'd rightfully win because I didn't get the bug net or like whatever, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, lepelog going through a temple. Gymnast just doing some Skyloft cleanup. And yeah, it really just comes down to where the location of the Hook Beetle sword and Blast Sword is.
Yeah, so now Jim is going to check Beatrice and be very disappointed with what he gets.
This race is fairly close. Jim's got a solid lead, but Leper can still take this. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So Jim has an obvious lead, but Leper's not too far behind. As well, he could be worse. Let's put it that way. He could be much worse.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that Lepa has finally got his bomb bag, which was the big thing that was blocking him for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so he could have lost more time by delaying that more, but he didn't, which was nice. Alright, Jim is doing comms ladder check. They put on one heart, so that could be bad for him.
Yeah, well, presumably Lepe wants to death warp after doing these two checks anyways.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah. Although he hasn't done Earth Temple yet, so maybe not.
Or, well, Lepe just did the RBM, so...
Actually, yeah, you do need to die to reload. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so now we're kind of at a point where the runners are kind of doing checks that the other runner has done.
Yeah, so there's not really much to talk about, I guess. And again, Jim does have a sizable lead, but I wouldn't say Leper couldn't take this one. I think he could at this stage, definitely, if the stars line hit at this point.
Yeah, I think the stars aligning would basically be that Jim last location's his last sword upgrade.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's Skyloft Trial for starts. That was hinted at being something good, but we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah, and well, I think there's still one bottle that we haven't found yet.
Yeah.
And so it could be that bottle. It could. Well, no, it cannot be a key piece because it was the last song of the hero part was in Earth Temple. So, but I mean, a sword would be good. But it could also be a crystal pack, which would be bad.
Also, just a reminder, the cursed medal makes you not able to use your adventure pouch. So it's not useful. Well, that being said, though, it has decided a race, a very close race in the past, but in general, it's like not useful for anyone.
Yeah.
Leper getting the boss key.
Yeah, and Jim getting the pouch expansion from Beatrice, and probably not too happy about spending all that time for a not useful item.
Yeah.
Well, Curse Metal, we kind of say decided Jim versus Exto because Jim had it in his pouch, and it caused him to therefore avoid Volcano Summit because he couldn't actually check the one item in that he could check in there because he needed access to his bottles. So that and Exto's opponent went to Volcano Summit first to find a not useful item, whereas Jim, the first item he checked was his Go Mode item. That said, Jim then had to spend time flying to Skyloft to then remove the Curse Metal from his pouch. So I guess Jim kind of gave some of that time back, but it was still, we still like to say that the Curse Metal kind of decided that race. Jim has not done the Farron bomb checks. Jim has not been to Farron since the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I'd expect Jim to do that as well. Or he could just be going to Farron right now, actually. Like, just delaying it for a little bit more.
So, so Jim's going to check the Spiral Charge rocks that Lepe has already checked. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to pick up Pumpkin Soup now that he is close by to the Lumpy Pumpkin.
Yeah, because I think both these runners can do Levias. So, you know, that could have the last Hook Beetle, which would be really interesting, as both these runners really like to not do Levias until, like, the last minute, really.
Yeah, but Jim deciding not to do that, he's instead going to go to Farron, and now he's going to be able to do those Farron bomb checks that someone in chat was asking about, as well as Lake Floria, as well as the Battle of the Gods check that Lepe has already done. Chat coming up with some very evil possibilities for LMF key layout.
Yeah, Levi's having Tumbleweed, yeah. But yeah, lepelog just on Barbarian now.
So Jim is going to swim into Great Tree and use the Gust Bellows to climb up to the Great Tree chest.
No, vanilla TMS has happened a lot, and normally when that happens, it basically, because like normally, you can get, like, you can kind of skip a sword upgrade, because normally you can get like another one to get Master Sword, but if it's on TMS, you have to get all of them basically to access the past. Yeah, and like in the match of me versus Muzu in the quarterfinals, TMS was on vanilla, so all of the kind of overworld swords were straight up required. Honestly, I'm just waiting for the day when like Whip is in the small key chests in Inconsistent and like Bow is in Sand Shift combination lock. I'm just like waiting for that.
I feel like both of them being the case is such a minuscule possibility.
Yeah.
Wow, so Jim actually gets the Hylian Shield in his pouch because he got the pouch expansion just before coming here.
Yeah. Yeah, nice Hylian Shield for Game 2 of the finals.
Where is Jim going?
Trying to run through a mushroom, but not succeeding, apparently.
Okay, he wanted mushroom spores, although he did go a little out of his way for them when he could have gotten them inside the great tree.
Yeah, or even in the sky, I guess, which is what like most people do a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, getting the mushroom spores in Farron is definitely faster. I just think that he still could have gone a little less out of his way for them. Well, that answers the question of where the 5th bottle was. At this point, do we know how many crystal packs are left? Like, are there any crystal packs that Lepe has gotten that Gymnast has not?
I can't think of any on the top of my head, to be honest.
Okay, so there's 3. Actually, there might only be 2, because I think Jim's only gotten 5 individual crystals.
Oh yeah, Gymnast might be doing the rest of Lake Floria, as he has scale now.
Yeah.
And again, if there's more stuff here, that would be even more huge for Gymnast, as lepelog still needs earrings, which I don't know where they were actually. They were somewhere, I think, in Lenario, I think?
Yeah. Well, lepelog is going for the Skyloft Silent Realm, so,
yeah, this is the first time we've seen, so...
Yeah,
see what it's going to be.
If this is Hook Beetle, that could actually propel lepelog into the lead.
Yeah, it could definitely make him up more ground to what his initial time loss was.
Yeah, because that will push him back to Lanayru, then he'll get his Fire Shield earrings to get, which will then point him at Water Dragon scale, and then from there.
Okay, well no, Hook Beetle's here, so that was sad.
Yeah,
that makes things even worse for Leper.
Yeah, that might have just killed lepelog's chances of coming back.
Yeah. Well, it's. I'll say it's still possible, but yeah, it's looking worse for Leper by the second. So I just hope that Skylar Trial has something, and that Leper makes all the right choices now, and Jim doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jim just needs one more sword, then he's effectively in go mode.
Yeah, unfortunately that heart metal going to item check and really not useful for him at all. He is a good enough player to not need it anyways. Yeah, so Jim's just gonna head right back to Lanayru, not bother. Okay, I guess he's gonna turn in the mushroom spores.
Yeah,
first.
this makes sense.
I guess freeze up a bottle, although I don't think there's much that he's going to be doing. But if this happens to be his sword and he is in go mode entering Lanayru, then that becomes even more.
Well, there's a whole key, I guess.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not useful to him anymore after he broke into Earth Temple early.
Yeah.
I guess he's not heading into Lanayru straight away. He totally jebaited me.
Okay, Jim achieving bottle %. That's cool.
Yeah. So Lepelog is finishing up the Skyloft trial, and now Gymnast is heading into Lanayru and is going to power on the last node. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I agree with this. I agree with this linear play. You want to get all your required dungeons beaten as soon as possible when you can.
Yeah, and LMF has been known to contain swords before, so
Yeah.
even though LMF is a pretty long dungeon, like you don't want to put it off too long.
Yeah. They've looked been saying this a lot recently, although this looks promising. Yeah. Although with a nice bonk, of course.
Yeah, and it gets, like, the end of this trial gets harder if you don't get that fence clip first try, because then all of these cycles are wrong, and you can wind up having to wait for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the swords can be anywhere, so, it just depends where this is why sword hunting is very common, is because swords aren't locked behind, aren't required for anything other than beating the game. So, again, they can just be just about anywhere, so this is why they're so common. Okay, everyone hold your breath. What's on Skyloft Trial? A sword! Okay, so now we know where Jim's last sword is.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that Jim finds another one.
Yeah, there is a total of 4 swords in the progression pool, and now we know where 3 of them are. So he, as you say, he can find another one. If he's lucky enough. Yeah, well, I mean, it's also good for Leper, because again, he finds another sword.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get back on track as far as his progression, it's just kind of unfortunate with the whole, needing bombs from Sand Sea to open up, getting earrings in desert, and it was just the opposite of the order that Lepelog did those checks in originally, so he wasn't able to get his Fire Shield earrings.
Yeah. Lepelog is going to Lanayru now, so he might get earrings soon, I think. So he can still be on par with Jim, assuming he makes all the right choices at this point.
Huh. Jim not starting off with Fire Node. Oh no, he did. Okay, I'm sorry. Ignore.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He just came from there. Okay. So that should be him raising LMF now. Actually, I forget if he did Water Node earlier. Yeah, he must have done Water Node because he's also already revealed that Time Shift Stone. And yeah, the story of this seed has basically been that Jim found the bomb bag in Pirate Stronghold like almost an hour before Lepelog did. and that enabled Jim to do a lot of checks a lot more efficiently than Lepe, and be able to get to the point of being able to raise LMF faster. So even though Lepe is activating the lightning node now, he cannot activate the fire node until he finds Hook Beetle in Lake Floria.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just doing the beetle here is quicker than the bombs, although I might be wrong on that, but it's definitely more safer. Yeah, Jim is only missing one sword right now. Leper's missing a sword and Hook Beetle, I think.
Gymnast leaving LMF immediately. Oh, because he forgot to check the chest on top.
Yeah. That can happen. Lepelog gained the whip.
Oh yeah, because this was the missing step too, because he needed the whip, because, right, the fire shield earrings now, if I remember right, were in Skipper's retreat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's even worse. Because now Lepelog has to go back to Sand Sea to get fire shield earrings, to go to Volcano Summit to get Water Dragon Scale, to go to Lake Floria to get Hook Beetle. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe they were in Fire Node and I'm misremembering. Well, we'll find out when Lepelog does the checks in Fire Node. So Jim doing the whip trick to avoid needing to use the Hook Beetle there, which saves a bunch of time, because the Hook Beetle is rather slow.
Alright, yes, I'm back.
So, him doing break lights to get to this time shift stone quickly. And at this point, Gymnast is still looking for a sword, so he's probably going to full clear this dungeon.
Yeah, that could be especially bad for like the boss key chest, I guess, because like that's really far out of the way, and being able to enter LMF with the ability to skip that can be huge.
Yeah, so Lepelog is as soon as he stops being bodied by Ampli, going to be able to check the bomb lock checks here. Jim's going to be continuing his way through LMF.
Yeah. Well, this race is mostly in Jim's favor at this point.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
Earrings work. Yep, Fire Shield Earrings in Fire Node.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if Leper makes all the right choices, in hindsight, then yeah, well then this could be good for Leper. But if he just makes like one wrong move, this can be much better for Jim. Yeah, Leper
Oh
will
yeah,
enter.
somebody a long time ago made a prediction of like boss key early in LMF and the sword on the vanilla boss key chest, and well, we have half of that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think Leper will enter LMF in Go mode, so he'll be able to skip pretty much all of searching for swords, or searching for searching for swords. Yeah. Yeah, now for Gymnast, we're just waiting on one more sword.
Yeah, so now with the small key, Jim is probably going to go check the East Wing now, because that is the play that Jim tends to do. But I guess the equation kind of changes a little bit when you do have the boss key.
Yeah, I mean, I would do this now because it's like much easier to do the small key now. Because like just like so much, it's like really hard to route in, especially if you leave it much later in the dungeon. I think so. I think the earlier you can do the East Wing, the better in most cases.
Yeah. Oh yeah, lepelog still needs to get the party wheel and do all that. So
don't know if he did like mines and stuff, which is like weird. Although again, it hasn't really had bombs, so.
Oh yeah. So...
what? Okay, well you can't apparently do mines backwards the first time.
Yeah. So basically, what Lep is trying to do is roll a bomb in the minecart and immediately slash it when the minecart is close to that rock. And that will blow up the rock, so that then he'll be able to get the minecart all the way through.
Honestly, if I might just start from like the beginning, to be honest.
Okay,
I think that worked.
Succeed.
I thought that worked, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll see for certain though.
Yeah, I saw like the animation of the rock blowing up, or the very tail end of it, so I'm pretty sure it worked.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like I just do mines normally, which I think would be a small time loss, but it'll be like, okay, Jim. Gymnast is missing a sword, Leper is missing a sword, and a beetle upgrade. And that's all. Until go mode. Yeah, and we know where the two, and we basically know where all the items are for each pair. Like Gymnast just needs to do the Skyward trial, Leper just needs to find the scale and do Lake Floria. Or Gymnast could just find another sword entirely. Same thing with Leper.
Yeah.
Hook Beetle was in Lake Floria. It's in a scale locked chest, so he has to get that anyway. And Dragon Scale was in the Bombable Wall in Volcano Summit.
So, unfortunately, East Wing not paying off for Jim.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem with like East Wing is that it's normally so out of the way, so there isn't really a convenient point to do this. So I can understand Jim just going, I'll do it now.
Yeah, and I guess like the even worse part for Jim is the fact that, like, or not necessarily for Jim, but just the worst part for LMF specifically is after you beat LMF, you get sent to a completely different area than when you started the dungeon. and LMF is the only dungeon that behaves like that. So it's like, even just saying, okay, I'll put this off until after I beat the dungeon, then re-enter it, is not a really good play for this specific dungeon. But it is kind of annoying because you want to be able to check the, or you have the boss key so early on, and yet you still have to full clear the dungeon. Because if you're in go mode, this is like getting the boss key first thing is the god layout.
Yeah, we're really at this point we're just waiting on Lep to go to Eldin, although he doesn't know that, obviously, so. They only need to beat the required dungeons, which on the tracker is marked with the Triforce, which in this case is Earth Temple, which has already been beaten by both runners, and the Lanayru Mining Facility, which is being beaten by Jim. So, they don't have to beat all the dungeons, just the required ones.
Yeah, so we'll see if Gymnast. So there's a chest in here.
Gymnast, come on, my guy. I'll go through the maze.
Yeah. Now you can backflip over the spikes if you happen to be in the right position.
Jim, please.
Yeah, Jim having a interesting time with this room, though.
Just using the Gus Brothers to, like, find his way around. Fair.
I mean, to be fair to Gymnast, like, he probably is not in this room terribly often.
Yeah.
But he's actually almost about to die, which would be unfortunate. I mean, actually, it's not terrible because he's going to want to Death Warp after checking the vanilla boss key item, but the vanilla boss key room is scary.
Yeah, it's like you can waste so much time in there.
And you can so easily die, too. Because the Centrobe in that room can... Like, you can think you have him unloaded off camera, and then you just get sniped out of nowhere.
Yeah, and everyone will fall victim to that, to be honest. It's, just annoying.
I mean, and I think, like, Jim especially knows that because Jim, when he was doing 100% attempts, he fell victim to that room. Oh no,
Jim, no.
That is very unfortunate.
Come on, Jim. You're like a 5-hour 80% veteran. We used to do this, like, with our eyes closed. Come on, Jim. Letting the veterans that magic. Yeah, but no, with that bomb, you do have to be really careful that you don't place that too close, otherwise you'll get knocked off, or place it too far away that won't activate the time shift stone. Yeah, left we're going back to Sansi, which isn't a good decision for him.
Okay, this time he got it.
Yeah, just assume he doesn't touch anything, he's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess because he had saved in preparation for Death Warp later, dying there wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
And in fact, now, like, the boss key room will not be nearly as scary for Jim because he can afford to, and in fact wants to take a couple hits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the minecart, the minecart jump itself, at least with bombs, is semi-precise, but that's only because with bombs you're on a time limit. If you use beetle, assuming you're in the position, it's like kind of much easier, although it's like kind of slower. Okay, Jim is in go mode. We're gonna need a heroic effort from Leopard to get out of this.
I mean, yeah, Lepa is, well, unfortunately, like,
Yeah.
all that's here is bow. Unfortunately, I don't, like, I think Jim would have to make huge mistakes here. Like,
Yeah.
multiple deaths in the end game in order for Lepe to catch back up.
Yeah. Because, like, you know, Jim has got so little left to do. He's literally just got to, like, beat Moldurak in endgame. And Leper still has to, like, find the scale. And then on top of that, yeah. Well, I think on top of that, beat LMF and then, yeah. So, yeah. It was the Jim plot armor once again. Although this time, instead of making him come second, it very likely could have just put him in a position to win the tournament here.
Yep. So Jim, like, assuming no disasters, he is going to be the winner of the first ever Skyward Sword Rando tournament and going completely undefeated.
Yeah.
Like, from finishing first in every single seeding race to winning both of his group stage races and obviously winning all of his bracket matchups.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Jim himself had some close calls, especially with, like, you know, versus Exto, and to some extent versus myself. And obviously, you know, with these finals.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, Jim is just undefeated.
Yeah. And I mean, even versus Battle Cats looked like it might have been close. Also, I think lepelog having some awkward movement in Skipper's Retreat might be showing some signs of tilt because he knows that, like he almost certainly feels behind at this point because he's still hunting for this hook beetle that he doesn't know where it is.
And there's Nebius Wisdom. Nice. We got all the songs, guys.
Yeah, I guess with the Jim versus Deer race, like, I mean, it's hard to say how that race would have turned out had Deer not had motion control issues in that race that forced him to forfeit. Jim's like, I don't need ammo, I'm just gonna throw all of it away. Yeah, I mean, even in that Jim versus Deer race, we did see Deer trying to pull the Deer meta already because he was trying to do Elden Trial, and unfortunately, I think in that particular seed, the Elden Trial only had a key piece on it, but yeah. And yeah, not the world's greatest rewards for beating Moldarok, but Jim's in go mode, and that's what counts in the end. So now Jim just has to beat the end game, and so yeah, I think in the first race, Jim might have had a shaky Imp 2, so we'll hope that today his Imp 2 will be cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of interesting, like, because like Gymnast didn't have an amazing time in like the showcase race, coming third, behind like me and Muzu, and then afterwards, like, right, I'm just gonna like just win a tournament, and yeah, here we are,
Yeah,
basically with
not even
Gymnast definitely in a very good position at this point.
Yeah. And lepelog finally finishing the Earth Temple key.
Yeah, both runners finishing the Temple Key. That's nice to see in the finals, especially.
Yeah, although I mean at the same time it's like, well, those are all checks that don't really do anything. And so Jim has to finally raise the gate of time, doing the Ballad of the Goddess check. Lepelog did that check much, much earlier on, back when he hadn't yet gone to Sansi. It'll be interesting to ask him in the interview what his thought process was for going to Sansi first. It definitely paid off, but at least I think it was not the decision I would have made.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, when I make decisions, I always kind of, the first thing I look at is checks that are closest to me, even if they're not exactly that check dense. And so I guess in this situation, I would have personally probably wanted to done what Jim Stud, but, I guess both of these runners had, really good kind of decisions to make, or really good reasons to back up their decisions, but Gymnast was like the one who kind of got rewarded for that.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes that's just rando, is that, like, sometimes you just get lucky in that you go and the decision you make happens to be the right one, and that sets you up for success for the rest of the seed. And
Yeah.
Lepelog is finally going to get his Water Dragon scale, but a little too late for him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is kind of an element in rando that is like kind of fairly rare, but it will happen where like one person will go left, one person will go right, one person will get bombs from it, one person will get rupees. So yeah. Yeah. Leper still needs the hook beetle in order to do LMF, which is one of the two items he's looking for.
Yep. So now Gymnast hoping to get the spicy kebab. Get the hop the spile memes in chat. For almost the last time. There will be a bronze match between Kikai and Jazznix.
Yeah, cool kids bronze match to determine who's the best at losing. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd quite put it that way, but I mean, you made it further in the tournament than I did.
Yeah. Good point, yeah.
I might have forgotten a chest in Fire Sanctuary, and that which sealed my fate.
Yeah, like a lot of these matches definitely had a lot of kind of interesting upsets and stuff. But like if Jim does kind of win this, that would kind of be the expected outcome predicted by just about everyone.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning of the tournament, I had like Jim up there in terms of favorites to win. So
yeah, I mean, it was like from day one. It was like I think that kind of Gymnast would be the kind of metaphorical final boss of the tournament, like the person to beat. So, yeah.
And I mean, Exto came really, really close. Like that match was a Demise fight difference.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then, but then even like just like speaking of Deer, and then Deer then goes and upsets Exto in what was probably the biggest upset of the tournament.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, and just like, I think that was the race that put everyone on notice that, like, if you last location Beatrice, your opponent who didn't has a pretty good chance of beating you if Beatrice has anything good.
Yeah, it's just kind of like no matter how good you are, if you make too many huge decisions wrong, you're just done for.
Yeah. Now, thankfully for lepelog, like, now at this point, the items he gets are going to push him in exactly the direction he needs to go. Unfortunately, Gymnast is about to enter the final boss gauntlet.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if lepelog decides to finish out the seed, because I think he finished out game 1, and he doesn't really tend to look at race time, so even then he wouldn't know that Gymnast would have beaten him, so...
Yeah, I think he will finish it out, and I hope he decides to finish it out.
Yeah. Again, this won't be the last race of the tournament because we still have the bronze match. But yeah, if Gymnast wins this, which at this point is incredibly likely, it'll be the last kind of finals match. But yeah, there will be a bronze match. I believe scheduled for Saturday or no Sunday. Yeah, it's this time next week, I think, or maybe a bit earlier. Oh no, it's not officially scheduled yet. Okay, so lepelog's just about getting everything, pretty much. Yeah, well, I mean, all the VODs are available on YouTube, so that's cool. Alright, Leper getting the Master Sword, and he's going to be getting Hope Beetle and basically going to the LNF and finishing the game.
Yep. And meanwhile, Jim getting a flawless horde skip.
Yeah, his muscle memory on horse skip is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him fail it, like, what, once, twice? Not even that, probably. Yeah, right, Leper getting Hook Beetle.
Yeah, lepelog, if he didn't think he was behind before, and he probably now realizes how behind he is.
Yeah. So again, lepelog made gambles, but they just weren't the right ones to make at the right times.
Yeah. And, like, the interesting thing is now lepelog's going to enter LMF in go mode, but unfortunately, like, it's not going to be enough to win him the race, but he's still going to finish the seed relatively quickly because he's going to get the boss key early and then probably just bit warp and just rush to the end of the dungeon.
Yeah. You know, Jim's at the end of Horde, so for Leopard to pull off a win, it would be incredibly unlikely.
Yep, and Gymnast getting hit by the very last Boko. Because, like, I think that last Boko's named, like, Billy or something.
Yeah. Stupid Billy just messing up everyone's running and stuff, yeah.
Yep, so Gymnast did the first phase of Girahim 3. Leppy is running into Fire Node to activate that. Just getting the one cycle on the second phase with the shield strat that I mentioned way at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, like getting the shield can like definitely save time, especially at this point, yeah. And yeah, and it's good to kind of mention that, like, you know, this is a 4-hour estimate, although the estimate is really just the worst case scenario. Most runs are 2 to 3 hours, but they can sometimes be exponentially bad. But that's just how rando works, I guess.
Yeah. So now Jim just on Demise, which is a fight that Gymnast is extremely familiar with. It's a very scripted fight. Do the same inputs and you'll get the same result. Jim known for doing this fight blindfolded, but probably not doing it blindfolded now because he knows he just has to. He just needs to just win the race. And GG to Gymnast. And
yeah, and it looks like that's official. At least as it stands now, Jazznix is the winner of the first ever Skyward Sword Winter 2021 tournament. So,
yep, with the time,
absolutely, yeah, GG's to him.
Yep, with a time of 2:34.07, which, considering it was an LMF seed, is a really good time.
Yeah, and it's like Jazznix has done a lot of Wind Waker tournaments, but always fell short, except for this one where he's taken the win. So GG Jim.
Hello, GG's. And yeah, after 3 second places, I finally got a win.
Yeah, I think that really the deciding factor, or at least what kind of set you two apart, was lepelog delayed Sandsea, which put him really behind with bombs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of what happened last time too.
Yeah.
The hook beetle.
Yeah, and I think because a lot of things were locked behind scale, like he didn't get scale stick there. He didn't get scale until very much later. So he kind of like he got hook beetle and swords and stuff, but it was like much later on. So
right, because fire shield earrings were also locked behind bombs.
Yeah.
And so was Whip, and like Whip being locked behind bombs in Pirate Stronghold was kind of like a worst case scenario, because that's like oftentimes you want to wait until you have Whip to do Sandsea, but because Whip was locked behind Sandsea, that wasn't happening this seed.
even Skipper's Retreat, when I went to it, was just kind of useless. I mean, I got the bow, but I didn't really need that for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, like, what was your thought process in going to Sandsea as soon as you got claw shots?
The thought process was more just like, oh, well, I want to get the first chest in Lanayru, like the first chest in Mines that requires claw shots first, and then it's faster to go to Sandsea than it is to go to the desert from there, so I guess we're going to Sandsea. But I also sort of realized that because I didn't have bombs yet, like technically, I think Mines, except for like the first and second chest, was out of logic. Which didn't technically put like all of Lanayru Desert out of logic, because you could just go through the caves to get there. But like still not having bombs at that point, but having claw shots is a little bit of a like deterrent for me for like immediately going to the desert, because there's only like a few chests you can get there with the claw shots.
Yeah, because it was interesting, because basically like you went to Sandsea and got bomb bag, and Lepe went to desert and got ruby tablet. And so it kind of looked like, okay, it wasn't that big of a difference until you got the fire shield earrings and fire node, and that was kind of what I got you your early lead because eventually, after you did Earth Temple, you were able to go to Volcano Summit, and Lepe was not, and Lepe didn't get to go to Volcano Summit until much, much later.
Right.
Like, I think you were almost through LMF by the time he finally went to Volcano Summit.
Yeah, I mean, it was like for me, like going into Elden, I had like the best case possible. Like I could pretty much just do everything in a single trip and then leave, and never have to worry about coming back.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was funny because like a lot of the things in this seed were kind of geared towards like what you kind of do. Like for example, the sword in dipping to Lake Florida. It's like
Right,
not many
yeah.
people can do that, but that was like slightly paid off. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you're curious, but the last sword was in Skyloft Trial.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was getting really nervous until I found the sword in LMF. I was like, I probably should have done Skyloft Trial because like there's no key pieces left. There's only one bottle and like one set of crystals left. There were 2 songs left when I considered it, so I was like, it might just be one of those songs, and then that might lead to nothing, or it might be Colin's letter.
Yeah. Like I'd say that had that like last sword been like a really awkward place, like Leper could have definitely stood more of a chance. But it was in LMF, so it's basically right in your like line of sight. So it just kind of put another nail in the coffin. Yeah, only just failing the hard break slides not in Insanity, in LMF.
Yep. That spike room tried its best to impede your progress, though.
It really did, yeah. Although I hadn't had to go through that room, or I hadn't had to specifically try and find the chest in that room in a long time, so...
Yeah, so, Jim, I must ask, so, yeah, the tournament's finished. Do you kind of see yourself in Skyward Sword Rando in the future, or is this kind of a one-off thing for you? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I guess it depends on like what the future tournaments are. If there are spoiler log tournaments, I will absolutely join those. Regular randomizer, I don't know. I mean, Skyward Sword Randomizer is still new enough that like it still feels like every seed still feels fun. Whereas like with the Wind Waker Randomizer being almost 3 years old at this point, I've gotten kind of like burnt out on that randomizer, so I probably wouldn't join the next tournament with that. But
yeah,
it kind of just depends on like really like if anything is different in future tournaments, I guess because next tournaments will also have next tournaments will have different things, like there will be hints and maybe shop sanity and what's the other thing I just thought of that I don't remember. There was something that was like that I just thought of right before I said the word hints that I can't remember now. Oh, right, the ability for like being able to douse for like treasures and other things right away.
Oh yeah,
like treasures and rupees.
Yeah, I know like we're definitely having like kind of a leak or definitely weeklies, and so I think that'll definitely be a good breeding ground to test new settings and new different kind of opportunities for next tournaments. So yeah, this game does have a lot of kind of future for it, I guess. That's how you say it, I'm not, yeah.
Also,
so
nice
lepelog to get the boss key.
Also, nice blue boxes on lepelog.
Yeah, I never know why that happens. It always happens in like LMF for some reason.
Yeah, well, I've seen it happen, like, I think it has something to do with, like, having a trial gate open, like, beforehand, or, like, that's at least when I've always seen it, and like, something in this trial state doesn't, like, get reverted after the trial, and that results in those blue boxes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, that's how, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's always like, I'll do LMF, it's like, hey, the rocks in the boxes are blue. That's not meant to happen. So, yeah. Nice, yeah, it looks like Leper's doing the bit warp.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it chose to do the bit warp. I feel like if you're already in the room where you got the boss key, it's faster to just go through the map chest room. But I guess Lepe thinks otherwise.
Yeah. Or even he might also be doing the RBM to push the shortcut box or something. Either way, he's doing something.
Oh yeah, there's also that.
Yeah, but I
think the Windgate RBM.
Yeah, but the Windgate RBM will force you through the boss key room unless you also do the shortcut chest RBM, or the shortcut box RBM rather. So I feel like if you're gonna do anything, so I can see, like, because he has his like tracker browser window and he has the scene flag sheet open, so he's got something in mind that he's doing.
Oh yeah, this looks like Windgate RBM.
Yeah, this is Windgate RBM. Yeah, I don't think that this is particularly faster, though.
Yeah, and also if anyone was wondering, like, this tournament you don't have any like cash prizes or anything. This one was really just kind of, again, a first. I mean, you get bragging rights, but that's yeah. Yeah, still fun to do competitions though, even if like there's no prizes set to it.
I mean, what better prize is there than bragging rights? I can say exactly, that I found all the items faster than you did. Okay, and now I guess Lepe's going to the goddess statue, I would assume.
Yeah. I think he's definitely in the one with the goddess statue and like the fight text.
Yeah, that one's interesting because you get both sets of fight text. I'm pretty sure it does the Amber tablet text before the Ruby tablet text, but it also winds up being weird because the text doesn't always match exactly with what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think it's the first, like the first set of text boxes is this RBM. I know it's like one of them is the first and the other one's the second. I can't ever remember which one's which.
Yeah, I remember in an older version of the 100% route, this was a bit confusing as far as like which was which. But now, like that, we no longer have to do Bellows Box RBM in 100% because early Boko base. But okay, he got the correct box, so.
Leper not checking the store to get TMS.
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to check anything else, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, see how he feels when he realizes he was like, he walked right by TMS.
Yeah, I mean I would have done the same because I mean at this point TMS could be there, but in his mind it could be, but it could also just be like vanilla for all he knows.
So yeah. This is like if this was a spoiler log race, then you would know to get them because you would save like 10 seconds in the final fights.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, all of the match VODs are on YouTube, on Zelda speedruns, so if anyone wants to watch, say, like, Exo versus Jim, like, that was in the same match, they can watch it there. But yeah, like, this tournament in general had a lot of insane matches. Like, I think we're also just saying, like, you know, Jim, like, even though it was kind of, everyone was kind of thinking you'd win, like, it definitely certainly wasn't without struggle as well, especially with that Jim versus Exo match. Alright, so lepelog entering Moldarak right now.
Using the claw shots to stun the claws. And one of the interesting things too is more sword upgrades actually makes this fight harder because sword hitbox kind of goes through the eye if you're too close.
Yeah. It's like one of the only fights where practice sword is optimal. Nice, yeah, done with Moldarak. Nice clean Moldarak fight, I guess. And yeah, now long cutscenes. Because you got this then in prison too. Yeah, Lepo can forfeit, but I'm not sure if he is looking at race time anyway, so he'll likely finish.
Yeah, and he's so close to the end at this point that he probably is going to finish it out, just for the sake of finishing it out.
Yeah, this is his like last match after all, so.
Got a fun minecart ride across the void.
Yeah. I usually like to play the harp during those because it's like normally in the vanilla game you would not have the harp during that minecart ride. So it's one of those like neat things that you get to do in rando. Well, yeah, Battlecast, except this isn't a 100% vanilla speedrun. Or I guess no bit. Well, I don't know, it's like, no bit's an interesting case, because I guess like optimally you damage down on the minecart, but it's a long time between that minecart ride and when no bit next wants to death warp.
What's the trigger for the blue bokoblins being behind the woods?
I believe it's both the game time is raised and you have beaten all your required dungeons, at least in rando context. I'm not quite sure what it is in vanilla context.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's roughly the same.
So Lepe had already raised the gate of time.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think in vanilla it's when you beat Fire Sanctuary.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Because that's why it doesn't happen in Hundo, because in Hundo we beat Fire Sanctuary well after that point. Actually, I think there was like one day where the any percent route had us damaging down off of those bokoblins.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that actually.
That was like when EBR was first a thing, and we were trying to figure out what the optimal ordering of the endgame RBMs was.
Okay. Now next kind of two big things. Will Leper get sub 3, and will he get a spicy kebab? He missed fingers, so it's probably not going to be spicy, it's probably just going to be hot, but we'll see.
Unfortunately, lepelog not getting the jump slash correct.
Yeah, a hot kebab is when you get all the jump slashes, and spicy one is you get that plus fingers, but he didn't seem to get the first jump slash, or at least didn't stay on his head, so, yeah.
Also, yeah, now Imp 2's gonna climb the wall, and that's why, like, Imp 2, like, if you miss anything, like, it can extend the fight by minutes.
Yeah, like, in Prison 2 is a really good test of skill, at least in terms of, like, yeah, like, movement and ability to use swords, because it can, like, it can be 5 seconds or 5 years, so... Yeah, good test of skill, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, I'd almost, like, yeah, skill and consistency, because, like, oftentimes at this point in a race, or at least, like, in my experience, like, I would tend to be really nervous around this point in the race, as, like, can you keep your, cool enough to get the jump slashes in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in Prison 2 has a lot of cutscenes around it, so doesn't make it optimal for races.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's like I half think that the Hot the Spile meme may make it so that Imp 2 is here to stay, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like top runners are split on it, but it seems somewhat in favor of Imp 2 skip, but...
Yeah. I think just in general we should have like a bunch of votes to like kind of see what we kind of want to remove and what we kind of want to keep away. This is like all stuff for the future, I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hot Spiral meme is definitely like, you know, like yeah, you potentially have saved in Prison 2, I don't know. Okay, lepelog just finishing in Prison 2, and yeah, now we have the long cutscenes, so everyone grab your popcorn.
The next tournament, we should definitely add in Skykeep.
Yeah, I think just in general with dungeons we can do a lot more, because I think we set it at 2 originally because of like 3 would normally take too long, but I think now a lot of us have got a lot better rando, so I think we can definitely start experimenting with more dungeons and Skykeep and stuff.
Yeah, 6 dungeons and Skykeep sounds good.
Yeah, the problem with Skykeep, I mean, I guess, like, it has the interesting thing where you can, in Rando, you can get the small key in the first chest, but other than that, there's not a whole lot with it that can be randomized, like, unless we were to randomize the Triforce pieces, which I guess could be interesting, but that's also, like, Skykeep's main purpose, so...
Yeah, well, although Key Sanity would be quite interesting with Skykeep. But I don't know how close Key Sanity is to being a thing.
Yeah, I think, like, that's, like, lepelog's next big project is Key Sanity, because we have the ability to do ASM patches now in a reasonable way. And I mean, there's also the argument for, there's also Goddess Cubes, which we had off for this tournament because, like, in our experience, Goddess Cubes add, like, an hour to the time.
Yeah, it normally a lot of, like, kind of extra movement and stuff. Like, for example, the Great Tree is so much longer with Goddess Cubes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Goddess Cubes also add some interesting strats because you have, like, Boko pushing to get the Farron Goddess Cubes.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jim, you looking forward to doing Boko pushing in the next tourney?
I mean, if it's a spoiler log tournament and I know that Boko pushing will get me, like, the claw shots early, then yeah.
Spoiler log with glitch logic, let's go. Alright, so yeah, lepelog just entering Horde. Shouldn't be too long to go until he's finished, hopefully, unless he dies a lot, which will hopefully not happen.
First phase of Horde, this is probably the one that's probably the most added difficulty of not having True Master Sword.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Lepe got pretty good RNG from those Bokos.
Yeah. So I'm mentioning, like, what if, like, dungeons aren't required but might have items? There's actually a mode called Race Mode, which basically ensures that all unrequired dungeons will just have junk, so... Yeah, and I mean, like, the main reason for that, I think, is because dungeons are, like, you can, like, really pile on the hours of dungeons. Although, that, I guess that might change in, like, future races, but I don't know. It might just be too much longer. So I'm missing Horde skip, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think there's, like, a lot of things with, like, testing and stuff will kind of be determined in the future.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a fairy there as well.
Yeah, because I think at the very least we're probably going to have some weekly races where we rotate settings and that, and we can kind of gauge how certain things will affect the, how long the races take. But I feel like, yeah, the problem with having progression potentially in non-required dungeons is you can just wind up with that extending the time of a seed by a lot if, like, for instance, you have some required progression in non-required LMF.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, well, someone said no logic. No logic for Skyward Sword is basically just claw shots in Sandsea. Yeah. It's like most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, the chance of, like, a no logic seed actually being beatable.
Yeah.
Like, it's very easy for, you know, for the bomb bag or for the claw shots to be behind some check that requires either of those items.
Yeah, I know with, like, you know, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, like, no logic works pretty well, but with Skyward Sword, it's like, I mean, of course Skyward Sword is back in time, and that is very powerful, but it's only very powerful doing specific things, like, you know, you can't get a Sandsea without claw shots, and it's like those sort of roadblocks that make no logic virtually impossible.
Right, like,
well,
you definitely...
Well, technically you could Grucinator bit to get to Sandsea.
Oh boy.
You just have to
Grucinator
beat the
finally
whole
useful.
Song of the Hero quest.
The fact that Leopard did not die then is just a miracle, I think. Like, them aimbot archers. I don't know if he picked up 2 fairies, he's only used up 1, so I don't know. Just please don't die to Billy Leopard, please don't.
Oh yeah, I almost died to Billy.
God damn it, Billy. Yeah, nah. Billy is moderately well behaved today.
Yeah, because in the vanilla game, like, after you meet after you get all 3 of the Song of the Hero pieces, you can actually talk to Groose, and he will let you use the Groosinator to launch yourself like to various places, basically anywhere there's a mini game. And so it's like, in theory, we could use that to like get to places like Sandsea or in Sandsea and back in time, but practically it's not that useful. Lepelog sending up the 1 cycle. Looks like he got it. Now for the 2nd. You wretched brat!
You wretched brat.
Okay, yeah, left on Demise now.
Yeah, so we'll see how Demise goes for Lepelog.
Yeah, hopefully smooth. He does have a shield, so he does have like, you know, safety strats, I guess.
Choose new shield strats.
Yeah.
Which
It's like a little bit slower, but for phase 1, I think it's just kind of worth it to do the shield strats, I guess. You have the shield, so might as well. Although I think shieldless for phase 2 is kind of free, so... Although, either way, it's... Yeah, either way it works. And that's it for Leper.
Yep, Lepa finishing with a time of 3:04.54. Which, considering that, like, Lepelog unfortunately got his bomb bag really late, I think that's a pretty decent time.
Yeah. It was like, especially that, which didn't help him his chances, but yeah, it was just kind of... From there, it just kind of snowballed into a gym victory.
And doing the Skyloft trial, I guess. Although he didn't have to check, like, the left side of LMF, I suppose, so...
Yeah.
Maybe even that out a little bit.
Yeah, because like boss key for LMF was in a really early place, so we're kind of saying, well, if there's like no sword here, it's like left and gain a lot of time.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was going through. I was like, if there's no sword here, I'm gonna be wasting a lot of time, especially with that boss key chest.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I got lucky, and it was on the very last chest before the boss key, or before the boss key chest.
Yeah. All right, GG Leper.
GG's.
GG Lepa.
Yeah. You probably already kind of know this from like our feeling, but it was the bombs in Sandsea that would kind of put you apart, and from then it kind of snowballed for you at least.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't want to do a temple without bombs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gymnast went to Sandsea quite early, and so he got bombs like much more earlier than you.
Ah, okay, makes sense, yeah.
He also did his like normal early like Floria, which got him a sword earlier.
Yeah, I knew that. As soon as I got the sword, I was like, yeah, Jim had that for forever. But I mean, then there was also the beetle there, so I was like, yeah, maybe that prevents him from coming back, so I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, I had to make 2 trips to Lake Floria, but I did do both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Scale was in like a awful place. It was like locked behind earrings, which is locked behind bombs. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
Not great,
So
especially if you already played bombs.
Yeah, because I imagine you were also probably thinking about, well, if you can wait until you have Whip to go to Sansi, except for the fact that Whip was also bomb locked, so it kind of just like stacked against like it made it so that if you already didn't want to go to Sansi, like you had even less incentive to go to Sansi until like there weren't other options. But yeah, basically as soon as you got Claw Shot, like you both got Claw Shots around the same time. But then you both went to Lanayru, and then Jim went to Sansi, and you went to Desert.
Okay.
And that was kind of the difference, because like you got Ruby Tablet and started chasing that immediately. Jim got the bomb bag.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had earrings before going into Elden, I was able to like clear out all of Elden in just a single trip.
Oh, that's very convenient. I made a lot of trips to Elden. Yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, do I go to Elden or do I go to Sansi? And basically everything in main Elden was open because of mids.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do Lanayru, the rest of Lanayru, and then before going to Sansi, I'm going to Elden, which then led to other things, I guess. Yeah. Otherwise, the seed was fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun seed. A bit unfortunate that like both races, or like the big difference in both races is that, well, maybe not the last race, but like me going to Sansi early significantly helped me out in both races.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I feel like Sansi is more than usually just not good. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's always locked behind at least claw shots, so it can't.
Yeah, and the thing with claw
shots,
the thing with claw shots is claw shots unlock so much, so the chances of it placing that, which kind of makes the chances of it placing an item there lower. So yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was a good race, I think.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch back the commentary. But I mean, I routed some parts of Skyward really badly. That's probably what I'm the most mad about. Oh yeah, also I tried to give the crystal ball to Olin. So.
Nice.
Oh yeah, because I saw you walking towards Owlin and then like turn around. I was wondering what you were doing.
Yeah, for some reason I just completely, I don't know. When I was on Skyward, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check Patrol. I'm gonna give the thing to Owlin, and I don't know why I was thinking that. Like, I don't know. Maybe because I was flying over Farron or something. I don't know. That was pretty dumb.
Also, the last sword upgrade you ended up running right past. It was the small chest up on the ledge in LMF.
Okay.
Running over to the boss door. Because that was my master sword, since I hadn't checked the trial yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's I kind of figured that sword upgrade would be in LMF, but I mean, just guess, because for some reason the sword upgrades are kind of likely in dungeons.
I think there's like one race where there's like 3 sword upgrades in LMF or something.
I mean, I don't know how if the RBMs in LMF actually helped.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask that too. Like, so, because I was gonna ask, like, why not just do the bit warp, or I guess like Jim, like, because Jim had finished by that point, was kind of thinking too, like, you could have just gone, like, you were practically to the map room at that point.
I mean, I did not look at race time until I was entering Demise, so I didn't know that yet. Yeah, I like later I thought, okay, maybe the bit warp would have just been better.
Well, yeah, if I was, I mean, when I got the boss key, I didn't have the last Master Sword, so I kept on I went to the map chest and everything. But if I already had the Master Sword by the time I found the boss key, I probably would have continued up the west side of the dungeon, like how you normally would have.
Yeah, I
If you were
think that
doing the checks.
yeah, looking back, it might have been the better choice.
But we did get to see cool RBMs, so.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I hadn't done the shortcut, the shortcut box RBM in ages. So I was like, okay, was it the first or the second one? So I was like checking the seed flag doc. So I'm glad I got that right the first time. Yeah. I feel like either continuing or just the bit warp would have been faster. Because, I mean, 2 RBMs isn't that bad, but it's also not the fastest you can do.
Yeah, it says every bit activation is at minimum 40 seconds between saving, dying, reloading, and that's the moment you gain control back in time.
Yeah. I mean, bit is cool, but it's also slow. So yeah.
I'm not sure the any percent speedrun agrees with you.
Well, if it skips a lot of stuff, then it's still better than the stuff it skips, but yeah. In general...
Yeah, in Randomizer, it's a lot less useful.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, well, if you have to do 2 RBMs to accomplish something.
I feel like the only time 2 RBMs, or at least 2 consecutive RBMs would be worth it would be for the boss key chest and Fire Sanctuary without Magma Mitts, if you're trying to skip Mitts. And
yeah, I feel like...
be there.
I mean, it feels like RBMs are only worth it if you can actually skip an item with them.
Yeah, well, if you're in go mode and don't want to...
if you're go mode and can skip an item with that, like Fire Sanctuary. I mean, Fire Sanctuary can do a lot, so that's probably the best example.
I mean, it's obvious.
When we have to do Tentaclus skip is useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things with the Skyward Sword is that there's a lot of out of logic things you can do, but it normally takes a while, so you kind of have to balance that with taking risks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Sandsea skip. If you have your, if you happen to be go mode minus C chart, it can be way faster to just do Sandsea skip than to search 30 items for C chart.
Yeah. But if you are not in go mode, then it's definitely a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, except if you gamble and you're missing a sword and something, and the sword is in Sandship. But
yeah, which I don't know. I forget if Battlecats wound up doing that in that one race, or if he did have C chart when he made his Sandsea gamble. But
I think Battlecats, at least in the race that I had with him, he skipped C chart.
Yeah. So that is the one I'm thinking of.
Battlecats still a lot of back in time in his race game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Doing Skyward Sword we haven't paying off.
Yeah, well, that's because Battlecats was specifically gambling, because yeah. because he knew he was against a formidable opponent. So he was trying to gain any little advantage he could.
I guess,
mean,
unfortunately, I checked the trial also after getting the harp and 3 pieces of the Song of the Hero.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't the Song of the Hero also useful in the last race? So I feel like I could have done the trial reverse bid warp in both races.
Yeah.
Funny.
Last race it was Emerald Tablet.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like one of those things where, like, at that point you're doing it with basically no information, and so it's a huge risk.
I would have probably done it if I had Song of the Hero hinted useful, but not harp. And
Yeah.
missing some other item, then I would probably do it. But otherwise, I don't know. Like, way too much of a time waste.
I mean, yeah, especially because in this, I mean, even though it was like a useful item in this, it could have also been like an Earth Temple key piece. In addition to potentially being a bottle or gratitude crystals.
Yeah. Earth Temple seeds are terrible because of that. Because if it says useful, then it can always be a key piece. I mean, I found all key pieces, so... But I found all of them after the trial. At least the last one. Because there's also another thing why I didn't do Earth Temple that early. Because I only had one key piece at that point. So I was like, yeah... Earth Temple is probably late in logic. And then I just got a lot of key pieces. And then I was like, well, I don't think that was a good decision.
Yeah, it's hard to judge with that, because obviously you don't know where all the key pieces are.
Yeah, but I don't think there was... I think there was a bottle in Earth Temple and that's it.
Yeah, I don't remember there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There was.
Yeah, and then there was a bottle outside of Earth Temple, so that wasn't the logically first bottle.
Yeah, so, like, not really useful. Also, the reason I did the RBM and then only did one check was because I did not have any other files, so I wanted to get the chest, I wanted to get the dig spot behind the early Thunderhead boulder, so yeah, that's basically why I did the RBM first, and then did that.
Yeah, I always do the RBM like right when I get to Elden, which I guess is not a smart decision if like you have 4 key pieces, but
I feel like in 99% of the seeds you end up doing Earth Temple before getting all the key pieces, so I think doing it at the start or somewhere where you can like do the RBM really fast is probably not a bad decision. I usually try to delay it just in case I get all of them, but I don't know. It never worked out for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's also the option bit saving a new game file to have something to exit with or exit the house with.
But doesn't that still trigger any Thunderhead if you...
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that too, like as I was saying.
Actually, I think you're right. If you... well, if you select file 3 and the statue, I think you still commit... You still commit the flags from file 1.
Okay, yeah, then that's not that useful. Although, I mean, I think like it's still technically like frames faster than doing a corrupt file. But if you know you're not gonna ever use it to activate bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I should start just bit saving a new game file, because I always make a corrupt file and I never end up using it. Because it's also really slow to use it, and I don't think there are many places where you really want to have a corrupt file.
Yeah, I think it's like, it depends. Like, yeah, I think in these seeds it's pretty rare. It's only like when you start to get to like all sanity type seeds where you're doing like 4 or 5 dungeons and you wind up having like 15 hearts, and then having the corrupt file can be useful.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I think it's like, it's interesting because it's like, I think as we've gained more and more experience with the randomizer, we tend to use bit less and less.
Yeah, there have been a good amount of races where I just didn't do bit a single time. So, I agree.
Alright, well.
GG.
Yeah.
Congrats
GG's
on
everybody.
the tournament.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because we have another match coming up in half an hour for the Link to the Past Randomizer Challenge Cup that just launched today. It's going kind of crazy over there. So, GG's everybody. That was an awesome race to watch. Gymnast and lepelog. This was an awesome tournament. I look forward to the next one and whatever other weekly races or whatever the Skyward Sword community is cooking up. Also, looking forward to the bronze match coming up between Kikai and Jazznix sometime in the next week, I believe. Awesome tournament, awesome randomizer, lots of fun. Thank you to our commentators, Kikai and 64-Bit Link. And thank you to our trackers, Pac-Man Power Ghost and Rounderon. Everyone did a fantastic job. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Right now, we're going to go raid Zelda Speedruns 2. They have a Twilight Princess tournament match between Marco and Bewildebeest happening right now, so we'll go raid them, give them our support. And in half an hour, we will be back on this channel with a Link to the Past Randomizer Challenge Cup match between Iriel and Sir Linkalot. So stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!
Bye.